advisors and heads of foreign ministries kept in touch all the time. And you know fully well that one of the central issues was the situation around Ukraine. We see the strive of the administration and President Trump personally to help facilitate the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict. And his strive to get to the crux of the matter, to understand this history, is precious. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Moreover, we've always considered the Ukrainian nation, and I've said it multiple times, a brotherly nation. However strange it may sound in these conditions, we have the same roots, and everything that's happening is a tragedy for us and terrible wound. Therefore, the country is sincerely interested in putting an end to it. At the same time, we're convinced that in order to make the settlement lasting and long-term, all the primary roots, the primary causes of that conflict, and we've said it multiple times, to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia and to reinstate a just balance of security in Europe and in the world on the whole. And I agree with President Trump, as he has said today, that naturally the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that. I would like to hope that the agreement that we've reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. Incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that the U.S. and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the U.S. can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible. And our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the U.S. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, the border between Russia and the U.S., there is a so-called international date line. I think you can step over, literally, from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope that we'll succeed in that. In political sphere. I would like to thank President Trump for our joint work, for the well-wishing and trustworthy tone of our conversation. It's important that both sides are result-oriented, and we see that the President of the U.S. has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about prosperity of his nation. Still, he understands that Russia has its own national interests. I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S. And in the end, I would like to add one more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound, and I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think, you know, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax, but what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good, productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
As we wait to see if the president will take any questions from the room. There you have it. Vladimir Putin first addressing reporters, then President Trump addressing reporters as well, talking about what he called, this is President Trump, an extremely productive meeting. That's how he characterized the summit. He said, many points we agreed to. There are some points left, including one point that's pretty significant. Did not go into detail about what that point was. He did say we're going to save thousands of lives, and he believes that President Putin wants that as well, but didn't clearly say flat out that they have agreed to a ceasefire that begins, whenever. That was not declared by either one of these leaders. He also said that he would be contacting NATO and calling President Zelensky, as we had been reporting in our coverage earlier today. President Trump earlier this week promised that he would call President Zelensky after this summit. So a clear indication from President Trump that that call has not happened yet, though he fully intends to do so. He also intends to call his European allies in the EU, leaders of, I gather, the UK, France, other countries that have been involved in the coalition that has supported Ukraine from the very beginning. I want to bring in Mary Bruce, who is in the press briefing room. And Mary, if you can hear me, I'm just bringing the audience up to speed here on what we have just witnessed here together live on the air. Again, President Trump calling this extremely productive, saying many points agreed to, some points left. He said one point is pretty significant, but he suggested that perhaps we could get there. I did not hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, I did not hear any declaration of a ceasefire.
No, you certainly did not, and I have to say, I don't think I've ever been left after hearing from the President of the United States with so many questions. They both came out in these short remarks suggesting that progress has been made. Vladimir Putin using the word agreement, saying, I expect that today's agreement will be a good starting point. The President referencing the fact that they aren't quite there, which hinted at the point that they didn't get, it appears, the full ceasefire that President Trump was hoping for, but he kept alluding to this progress. What is the progress? That is the big question, and one that we still do not have the answer to. This was incredibly vague, and I have to say, with quite literally the entire world watching, with the future of Ukraine hanging in the balance, to not have any clarity here is pretty astounding. Now, President Trump said he was going, obviously, to be speaking with Ukrainian President Zelensky. He was hoping that coming out of this meeting that they were going to have a ceasefire and that he was going to be announcing a trilateral meeting, that he was going to be announcing that they were finally going to get Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky in the same room. It seems we are still a ways away from that, David.
So, Mary, perhaps I'll give you a little break here. For our audience at home, we're going to stay on the air through 7:30 Eastern here for another 20 minutes or so. We're going to let our White House teams do some reporting here in the meantime. Mary and Rachel Scott also traveling with the president to try to see if we can get some clarity from the White House about what this agreement is, because you did hear Vladimir Putin there at the top of the press conference, as Mary just alluded to, and I heard it as well. Vladimir Putin saying that they had reached an agreement, though he did not offer any details of what this agreement would be. Vladimir Putin talking about the relationship between the U.S. and Russia, the chilliness to that relationship for a very long time. He said it was time to re-engage both countries. He talked about Alaska too, by the way, and the history of Alaska, which, by the way, was sold to the U.S. back in 1867. Many of you have read that in the coverage leading up to this summit. Sold for $7.2 million back in 1867. Talked about the history of Alaska. The common heritage, he called it. Vladimir Putin then went on to talk about the economy and about trade with the U.S., talked about the trustworthy nature of the conversation with President Trump and the others who were in the...
And you were just watching there an ABC News special report covering the high-stakes meeting between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started with KSAT News at 6.
So tonight, the constitutionality of a new Texas law is in question. That law would require all public schools to have the 10 Commandments posted in all classrooms.
Yeah, a federal judge in San Antonio heard arguments back and forth for hours today. He'll decide whether that law should be blocked before it takes effect. Now let's break down what you need to know. Back in June, Governor Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 10 into law. It would require the 10 Commandments to be displayed in every public school classroom across the state. That would impact more than 5 million kids.
Right now, that law is set to take effect September 1st, but more than a dozen Texas families are asking a federal judge to issue a preliminary injunction, and that would basically block this law until a full trial. They filed a lawsuit on July 2nd against 11 school districts, 4 of those in San Antonio. A federal judge heard arguments from both sides.
Yeah, but he didn't decide on a ruling today. That discussion is going to be picked back up in court on Monday.
Our Avery Everett was at the courthouse, and she breaks down what unfolded today.
Well, hours of testimony is really hard to sum up in a couple of sentences, but the judge in this case says the line of arguing here is really between exposure versus coercion. The question being, is having the 10 Commandments posted in every public school classroom a way to expose kids to certain values, or is it coercion to believe a certain religion? In the most basic terms, the attorneys representing the families in this lawsuit say that this law is a violation of their First Amendment rights, while the defense representing the school district says this is is part of U.S. history. So on Monday, this discussion is going to continue, but we're not expecting a ruling from the judge. He says it's going to take him some time to decide what exactly happens next, but he says that will all be decided before September 1st, when this law is slated to take effect. Now, this will only impact the 11 school districts that are listed in the lawsuit, but the plaintiffs in this case are hoping that with a federal judge ruling, that other school districts in the state will follow suit. So we'll continue to follow this discussion on Monday, and we'll provide you with the latest information when the judge does decide. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Now, San Antonio police arresting a man in connection with the shooting death of San Antonio ISD student Simon Cuevas. This right here is 18-year-old Fernando Flores. He's charged with capital murder of a person older than 10 and younger than 15. But investigators they're looking for other suspects. San Antonio police posted this image on their Facebook page earlier today. They're looking for 20-year-old Cesar Tijerina. SAPD is also looking for another suspect that they believe is connected to the shooting. So now let's go all the way back to the beginning and what started all of this. 14-year-old Simon Cuevas III was shot on April 16th at the corner of South Elmendorf and Merida Streets. Surveillance video shows a group of people following him as he was leaving school. Witnesses also told police that a group attacked Cuevas, and then one of them in that group pulled out a gun and shot him. Cuevas later died at the hospital. SAISD sending KSAT a statement today after Flores' arrest, and it reads, quote, "We are grateful to law enforcement for their pursuit of justice in this case. We continue to lift up the family who suffered the senseless loss of their son and our student, who will always be a member of our own SAISD familia." We hope that this news brings his family and ours some comfort, end quote. If you know anything about this case that could help police, you can call the SAPD Homicide Unit. Their number is 210-207-7635.
They escaped floodwaters, saved their animals, saw rescues, and even helped make heartbreaking recoveries.
So the people of Center Point have been through so much. We know this, and that's why our Courtney Friedman spent a day there. She went to see how that community is still coping.
Yeah, they say while they've seen tragedy, they've also seen kindness from near and far.
Battered land and broken hearts left behind in Center Point after the July 4th floods.
A nightmare. I actually survived Hurricane Harvey in 17, and this definitely reminded me a lot of that.
This is a different kind of beast.
Mike Richards and Angela Simons have both seen things that will never leave their minds.
It's affected a lot of people in a lot of ways.
Mike has land in Center Point right on the Guadalupe where his daughter lives.
She called and said that, could I come over here, that there was a man that was laying down there by the house. I got all my friends and family down here and we started finding people.
His cabin was torn up and swept away.
It's got 5 or 6 pieces up and down the river.
Angela lives down the street, also on the river.
And he had an actual girl out here stranded in the tree in front of his house that they had to call the, water rescue for. She was just clinging to a big old cypress tree out there in the middle, screaming.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, but she's okay.
Oh yes, they got her.
What also made it through were their own animals.
So how many chickens do you have?
There's 8. The water was all the way up here inside the chicken coop, but they had got up in there and everybody was good.
Hey, Mohawk.
And then there's Mohawk, Mike's 500-pound hog, the ultimate survivor.
He swam over the fence and we saw him walking down Sutherland Road. Yeah, he was mad.
But alive.
Yeah, but he was alive.
Hi. You are one strong pig.
As they find joy in the silver linings, their pain is being healed by kindness.
There's been a lot of people here helping, water, food, clean up.
And one day we had 150 down here. I mean, the kindness, everybody was showing was just incredible.
It might take some time, but we'll fully recover.
Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Also, while in Center Point, Courtney saw recovery teams with boats, dogs, and also debris clearing equipment.
Yeah, it's clear teams are still actively searching for the last 2 missing people. We also want to remind you that Together for Texas concert is happening this Monday, August 18th. Performers include Lytle Lovett and Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias. It'll be over at the Tobin Center. All the proceeds will go to Hill Country flood relief efforts. So if you want to be there, tickets start at $35 and you can catch that concert live right here on KSAT 12 and on KSAT Plus. The Spurs Arena is a hot topic of discussion. We've heard from current Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones and the questions she has about the city's investment into the project. Now today we're hearing from the mayor who actually got the ball rolling on the arena and Project Marvel altogether. RJ Marquez spoke with former Mayor Ron Nirenberg to get his feel of these latest developments.
This is an opportunity to bring that important part of our San Antonio culture and heritage to back downtown where they were in the first place and where they belong.
Former San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg sharing his thoughts today on the ongoing negotiations between the Spurs and the city for their part of the funding for this arena.
The council is doing its deliberations on a very important moment for our community. I think what they're looking at is not only a sound and prudent deal for our city, but also one that I think is far and above one of the strongest investments we've ever made.
What's just kind of your broad overview of what we've seen over the past couple weeks?
There's a lot of misinformation and I think some distraction out there about what this is all about. The revenue that is coming from our community is tax revenue generated by visitors and tourists based on hotel stays and rental car taxes.
Will our local taxpayers be the ones that are basically paying this $489 million or $490 million that's going to go towards this arena project?
Local residents' tax bills are not going to be impacted by this development, nor the arena itself.
Nirenberg added that recent economic reports that Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones has referenced recently are similar to forecast.
It's a bit of the farmer's almanac. It's not really going to be something that you make a decision based on for your budget.
Do you think this is a good deal for the city?
I think it's an extraordinary deal for the city. They're also putting $1 billion of their own into helping improve our downtown area.
Are you worried that if, for whatever reason, this deal hits a snag, that this could potentially result in the Spurs leaving?
Let me make it very clear to folks that in every step of this conversation, the Spurs have been 100% forthright and good faith partners. Politics messes things up. The Spurs have been excellent partners. They have never once threatened to leave.
Nirenberg said that he understands the current mayor's need for more information, but felt confident about the partnership before he left office.
When we've approached this, we've done it prudently. We've done it to seek a fair deal that protects local taxpayers. And we also done it to achieve the great aspirations that we have for our downtown that we enjoy as local residents.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
And as you heard right there, the Spurs have been, the arena is a hot topic of discussion. KSAT Investigates has learned of a connection between a firm the city hired to study the economic impact of Project Marvel and the San Antonio Spurs, something the mayor asked about during a council meeting earlier this month. And that connection, it could raise questions about whether the report is truly independent. And you can read more about that on KSAT.com.
And we do have rain chances increasing as we get into the night and into tomorrow. Tropical moisture, rain-making energy, all mixing together. I'll have the latest timeline for you and some promising rain chances in the days ahead. We'll get to it in just a bit.
Also, we're going to give you a live look at the traffic outside, 94 degrees, and look at that. I-37 at Hackberry, where really it couldn't be any smoother right now. And we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Let's take a live look at live cams of traffic out there moving. It looks kind of gloomy out there. I know this morning I was hoping that it'd be nice and cold when I opened the door to let my dog out, but it was just hit by the wall of bugginess.
No, don't even bother to wish for these things. But, you know, you kind of feel it, but there were some areas did get some rain earlier today, and you're saying that could stretch into next week?
Yeah, actually, rain chances next week are looking promising, but in the short term, it's tonight into tomorrow morning that I do think we'll have some downpours, showers, thunderstorms as well. So don't be surprised if you get woken up in the middle of the night or even earlier than usual on Saturday morning. Scattered rain, even some numerous showers at times. Now, as for amounts, most of us getting less than an inch of rain, and some of us actually getting nothing. Keep that in mind. This isn't going to be equal opportunity. It's not for everybody. But where the heaviest tropical downpours set up, 1 to 3 inches, not out of the question. Maybe some localized street flooding, and that would be it. These are progressive storms. They're not going to sit in one place. They're moving along, moving in and moving out, probably around 20 miles per hour, by the way. Then by Sunday, just sunny, hot, and dry. Nothing on authority radar at the moment. We are high and dry, zooming in over San Antonio, just a little bit of ground clutter, and that's about it. No showers popping up at the moment. Still have another hour or two window of opportunity for some development, but you look at the blue and green lines today, and you see those streaky showers that came in from the Gulf Coast, and they really had a hard time sustaining themselves past I-35. So most of the rain was east of I-35 and especially between I-10 and I-37. Futurecast wants to pop this shower at 7 p.m. I think that's a long shot. I would be shocked if that actually happened. Here's what I think is more likely. Later tonight, another push of upper level energy with that deep tropical moisture. So some scattered, widely separated showers and thunderstorms, downpours really, around and especially after midnight. That will be pushing south to north through parts of Bexar County and surrounding areas. But again, not everybody's going to get hit. Though, where the rain does pop up, you may not even need the lightning and thunder to wake you up. Just because these are the big, fat, juicy, tropical raindrops, they're a lot louder when they hit your roof and the windows and just make a louder pitter-patter sound. Notice tomorrow, some areas waking up to the areas of rain and at least wet roads and wet sidewalks, wet trails. And there will be some breaks in the rain. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we'll have some sunshine tomorrow as well. This is not going to be a washout. It's just the best opportunity we've had in recent days and even I'd say a couple of weeks for some rainfall and then some redevelopment again possible tomorrow evening as we get some destabilization from afternoon sunshine. Anyway, here's the big picture. And you see over the past 6 hours, we have this little tropical disturbance, little tropical wave, not a depression, not a tropical cyclone, just a ripple in the upper level flow. And it's coming from the Gulf, so it has deep moisture in it, a lot of rain that can be squeezed out. So that's why we say localized 1 to 3 inches possible. Here's the center of the upper level swirl right here along the Rio Grande. That's headed between Del Rio and San Antonio. So that puts basically San Antonio and surrounding counties on the side of that disturbance that has the most energy. And that's why we boosted those rain chances to about 50%. So scattered to numerous tonight into tomorrow, and then we'll have some hit or miss action tomorrow afternoon and evening. Sunday, sunny and dry, no chance of rain. Upper level high noses in for a day. But then look at next week, anywhere from 20 to 40% coverage Monday through Friday. I mean, and Thursday really stands out with the highest potential. Hurricane Erin, first hurricane of the season out in the Atlantic. It's going to likely curve between the east coast of the U.S. and Bermuda into next week as a Cat 4 major hurricane. Notice tomorrow, not as hot, 96 the high temperature because of extra clouds and some of the leftover clouds from the morning shower. So not as hot. Even Del Rio 98 tomorrow, Pleasanton 97. We get to Sunday, though, it's back to triple digits because just sunny, hot, and dry. But it's good to see some potential as we get into next week as well. Not common for August.
Still not cold enough for me. All right,
you'll have to wait a while, my dear. Okay, Cooper Rush back in Dallas.
Yes, while the Cowboys try to figure out who's going to be their backup QB, they're going to have a reunion with their old backup QB. Cooper Rush will have more on his return coming up. And Alamo Heights Volleyball is building a new culture thanks to their new head coach after the break. sometimes the story isn't about winning or the accolades, but rather the creating of a winning culture. For the Alamo Heights volleyball team, they trust the wins will come, but what second-year head coach Sarah Holmes is trying to create right now is a family. Coach Holmes is the type of coach that wears her emotions on her sleeve, and because of that, her players feel comfortable to express themselves, ultimately creating a closer bond.
It's just emotions, like you want it. We've worked so hard for it. Everybody's out there working hard, so it's not just going to come down to that. But I really want it for these kids because they're buying in and they're doing what we're asking to, and so I just want I want them to see that success that's really meant for them.
I think she's come in with a lot of determination, and she feels very strongly for us, and she loves us so much, which is very encouraging playing on the court.
It's super helpful and really beneficial to the team. Having a coach that kind of really shuts the team down. So just being able to not only have her share her emotions, but also as a team, we can share them back and say how we're really feeling.
We know each other's weaknesses, we know our strengths, so we just fill in what needs to be filled in, and we're a very scrappy team, so we are all working together to not let that ball drop and just working hard and keeping it up on the court.
Well, that is really special. Alamo Heights continues tournament play tonight against Rouse on the hunt for their first win of the season.
Camping with KSAT, powered by Thomas J. Henry.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys will host the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow evening for their second preseason game on the heels of a 10-point loss to the Rams in Los Angeles last weekend. Now, while the Cowboys try and decide who will be Dak Prescott's primary backup quarterback this season, Joe Milton or Will Greer, the Ravens in Texas means a reunion for former Cowboys backup QB Cooper Rush. 31-year-old Rush had a 7-year run in Dallas before signing a 2-year deal with Baltimore a week into free agency. Here's Rush on returning to Dallas and what it's like being around Lamar Jackson.
It'll be something new, but looking forward to it. See a lot of close relationships over the years there, and get to catch up with some guys. It'll be cool.
What's been your experience working with Lamar?
Yeah, it's incredible to watch. It was really cool, getting to see what one of the best does every day. The way he sees space, sees the field, it's been fun. How he sees the game, and just getting to know him that way. And in the meeting room and on the field, it's cool.
Well, the Ravens and Cowboys kick off tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll recap the action for you later that night. Despite finishing 1-9 in 2025, the San Antonio Brahmas have had a lot of players earn spots on NFL rosters this summer. From today through Sunday, there will be 10 Brahmas littered throughout the NFL preseason slate. The UFL as a whole had 50 players signed to NFL teams and about 150 players work out for a franchise. So go Brahmas. We're rooting for the Brahmas that are in the NFL. That's awesome.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
I have a question. You probably haven't been hearing about this as much, but is the lottery losing its luster? It's a conversation, right? You don't really hear many people talking about it anymore. Still on the news at 6, why some people are no longer going for that jackpot. We'll be right back. So have you noticed jackpots that once inspired lottery fever seem to be getting the cold shoulder?
And this weekend, that top prize is more than $500 million. A number like that used to have people lining up at the door to buy a ticket.
Yeah, so our Katrina Weber shows us why some people have given up on Lady Luck.
I think I would sit and hold the money for about a good week or so. I'm rich.
For Yolanda Cortez, that may be a $500 million impossible dream. She's not buying into this weekend's big Powerball drawing.
The most I've won was like $500 on these tickets. What? Yeah.
Scratch-offs are her game of choice, but others these days aren't leaving anything to chance.
Powerball is up to $500 million. Anybody trying to get that here?
No.
No. Why not? It used to be.
I think people don't have money.
Games with drawings are no longer the hot ticket at North Star Food Mart. In fact, figures from the Texas Lottery Commission show a slowdown statewide. Powerball ticket sales for this fiscal year are down almost $225 million compared to last year. And Mega Millions sales have dropped by more than $13 million.
I play sometimes, but I never win anything, so I give up.
I haven't played in a while, no.
Why not?
The money's tight right now.
For some people, picking the right numbers is just part of the hurdle. They're also worried about the numbers at the cash register, the price of these tickets. How much does the jackpot have to be for you to want to buy a ticket?
Well, it doesn't have to be that much.
When it goes up to $1 million, like 200 million.
Still, with an offer of more than $500 million, he's not quite ready to leap toward luck.
One day I'm gonna buy a ticket, and when I get it, I'm gonna win. And I'm gonna look for my community. I'm gonna look for my people. That's what I'm gonna get.
You know where to find me, right?
Yes,
KSAT.
I do. Yes, I do.
Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Yeah, we always say that. If you win, call me.
Yeah, I'm like, come to KSAT,
yeah,
share
exactly.
with us.
We'll be right back after this. We're so happy that you're with us on this Friday evening. There's a look through our live cam where you got something ominous looking like right there. 94 degrees in San Antonio.
It's now 100. Yay, small victories, right?
That's a W right there. That's a win, right? Now, looking at our rain chances just in the hours ahead, they're jumping up. I mean, we're going to be in the scattered to numerous category later tonight after midnight. So the coverage will be about 40 to 50% of south central Texas as we get after midnight through sunrise tomorrow as well. And you know what? Next week is actually looking pretty promising for rain as well. Now, Sunday's going to be a dry day, but by next week, we get back into a pattern of some daily afternoon chances. And some days stand out more than others, such as next Thursday. So it's more than just this opportunity, but more to come. We'll talk about what's causing the rain that we're expecting tonight and how much we can get in just a bit.
Between what's happening out in the Gulf with that weather disturbance and also just the overall heat, you want to have the KSAT Weather Authority app handy, just because it's a good tool to know what's happening.
Yeah, but I know for the next week you at least want to keep your umbrella in your car.
Yes.
I know Adam's been tracking rain chances for the next few days.
Yeah, and especially tonight into tomorrow, that's our first little spike in rain chances, and really the best opportunity we've seen in several weeks around here. And I want to reiterate, we are not anticipating the potential for flooding with this, because this system is going to be progressive. It's going to move in and move out, splash and dash. You look at Authority radar right now, nothing happening. All these streaks you see in blue and green, that's where we had the showers earlier today. They had a hard time surviving their trek past I-35 from the Gulf all the way here into San Antonio and surrounding areas. Now, here's our futurecast going forward. And again, the placement could really be anywhere on the map, so don't pay close attention to the exact placement of these downpours. Just the key points here. After midnight tonight, scattered to numerous downpours likely. Tropical rain, the big raindrops that are a little bit louder when they hit the roof or the windshield. And we'll have some lightning and thunder. So you could be woken up tonight or even earlier than you'd like on Saturday morning. So if you have pets or kids that get spooked by thunder and lightning, just know that that may be an issue tonight and into tomorrow morning. And you wake up to some wet roads and even some wet lawns, which will be nice in the morning. Now, not everybody's going to get hit. That's the key. There's going to be pockets of rain at any given time from midnight and then off and on through the day tomorrow. And actually tomorrow, I think we'll have some sunshine, which would then destabilize our atmosphere again and give us the potential for another round of showers by late in the afternoon and especially early evening. So it's not going to be a washout. It's not going to be hitting everybody, but where it does, a quick 1 to 3 inches is very possible because of the moisture content of the air, tropical air with the rain-making energy. So about a 50% coverage tonight through sunrise tomorrow, midday about 40%, little break in the afternoon tomorrow at 20%, and then we boost it back up to 40% tomorrow evening. By Sunday, this upper system's out of here. We are sunny and dry. Here's the upper system I'm talking about. You see the broad cloud cover here and shower activity. That's that tropical wave or area of disturbed weather that was centered over the Gulf. But now the upper circulation has moved onshore right over the Rio Grande in the RGV. And this is heading north, basically right along to just east of the Rio Grande, putting our area, San Antonio and surrounding counties, in the sweet spot for the upper level energy. So that's what's causing this, but this is going to be progressive. Again, this is going to move in and move out. Remember back on 4th of July and days after, that was a system that just sat overhead and was stuck in a traffic jam in our atmosphere. This is different. It's progressive. 97, our high today, that's exactly average. So we stay at 14 triple-digit days so far this year. We should tally up another triple-digit day on Sunday. And then next week, like I was saying previously in the newscast, holds some promise. Not every day will we have, a lot of rain on the radar, but by Thursday time frame, it holds the most promise for some more scattered to numerous showers. We'll be right back after the break.
Coming up at 7 o'clock on KSAT Sports Now, we wrap up a busy week of sports in San Antonio and get you ready for the action coming up this weekend. The Cowboys host Cooper Rush and the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow for a preseason game. We'll break down how the Dallas offensive line is doing at this point in the preseason. Also, the Texans, like the Cowboys, trying to finalize their depth chart and bounce back from a loss in their preseason opener. Houston is hosting the Panthers this weekend, and the Texans are very excited to be back home. We're also talking SAFC, UTSA football, UIW visiting with the Bernie football team, Alamo Heights volleyball team, and much more. That's all coming up on KSAT.com and KSAT Plus at 7 o'clock. It's KSAT Sports Now. You guys know the drill by now. We'll be right back.
And as we look across San Antonio, you see a lot of people on the roads making their way home on this Friday afternoon.
That's right. Adam.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at the visible satellite imagery over the past several hours, along with the radar, and you see how we had that basically burst of storms, especially along and east of I-35 this afternoon. But what they did is they dropped some cool air that they left in their wake, and that restabilized the atmosphere this afternoon. But we should get some destabilization and some more rain-making energy and moisture overnight to kickstart more of the